Here it is.
Freedom! When do we want it? Now!
What do we want? Freedom. When do we want it? Now, of course. And more on today's Cross-Politic Daily News Brief. This is Toby Sumter. Today is Friday, January 28th, 2022. If you want to see more of this sort of thing, please consider joining the Fight Laugh Feast Club. For less than a few coffees a month, you can help us build a rowdy Christian media response to liberal legacy media, big tech, and build a Christian megaphone for the truth. Go to flfnetwork.com and click on Join the Club. Okay, one more thing. Would you please like and share this show right now? Just pull off the road, hit share. Okay, you don't have to pull off the road, but the next exit or something, the next stoplight. Do it now so we can reach more people with the truth. The Canadian Broadcasting Association Company Media thing, I don't even know, CBCS, I don't even know. They were at one of the truck driver caravan protest thingies, but they were pointing the camera in the wrong direction. Now, I don't think anyone else is showing this, so I'm going to play this full 2-minute video in all its glory because I just want you to see this freedom protest in Canada along the route of the trucker convoy and these crazy cameramen pointing the wrong way.
We're going to do a quick video here showing you CBC, showing a couple of people. All right? Look at this. Their camera, they're setting up to point in this direction. Remember that. Now let's turn around and show what's really happening here. Our news media will not cover this. They point at a couple of people. Meanwhile, this is what's really going on. Unbelievable. If you needed any more proof that it's corrupt.
That's right, it's corrupt, it's all corrupt.
Here it is.
Freedom! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Freedom! When do we want it? Now!
This is what Canada's about. It doesn't matter. It's starting to
When do we want it?
Look at that amazing journalism, CBC. All you have to do is turn your camera in the other direction.
We stand on board for
It does not stop. It's just so unbelievable. You know the media's lying, but when you see this, when you see them point the camera in the opposite direction, that's their version of reporting. This is an unbelievable turnout. It just keeps going.
Pretty hilarious, huh? Yeah. Next up, according to Johns Hopkins University, Israeli COVID cases have broken a new world record. I hope Neil or Knox is going to put something on the screen so you can see the spike. But it's like, tick, 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 bing. There's a graph. It's from Johns Hopkins University. Over 100,000 new COVID cases have been recorded in Israel for their 7-day rolling average, setting a new world record high, where over 90% of the adult population has received 2 vaccine doses, 80% have received 3 doses, and over 500,000 Israelis, that's over 500,000, have received 4 doses, which the government is now pushing on all adults. Clearly, they have not had enough doses. That's my takeaway from this story. More doses for the Israelis. People, it's not working. Next, I want to tell you about Cornerstone Work and Worldview Institute. College is great, but it's not for everyone. Cornerstone Work and Worldview Institute seeks to fill that gap. Their mission is to build kingdom culture in the workplace through their integrative program of worldview instruction and on-the-job skills training, under the guidance of mentors. They offer courses in Bible, theology, and economics, as well as business, project management, and marketing and more. They also provide their students with internships, with business partners, so they can learn and gain practical skills all at the same time. You're invited to join their mission to provide Christians another educational opportunity. Together, you can help students grow confident in their faith and competent in their labor. Visit them today at cornerstonework.org to learn more, to enroll, or to become one of their partners. Thousands of Mississippians are locked up in jails awaiting trial because they can't afford a lawyer. Dwayne Lake spent 6 years locked up in a jail cell in Clarksdale for a triple murder he didn't commit. "I lost it all, my family, my marriage, my job, my career," said the 35-year-old welder. "Now I'm working, trying to get everything back. I've got to take it one day at a time." He spent many of those days in the dead zone, what defense lawyers are calling the time behind bars, without legal representation. He was arrested in 2015, but he wasn't indicted until 2 years later. Then he spent another 4 years in jail while awaiting trial. But he had no lawyer to fight for his release, so he wound up filing his own motions for a speedy trial. He never heard anything back. A court-appointed lawyer represented him at a hearing after his arrest. Another court-appointed lawyer represented him at a hearing after his indictment. In November, more than 6 years after he was jailed, a jury acquitted him of capital murder. Thousands of Mississippians are locked up in jails awaiting trial because they can't afford a lawyer. Cliff Johnson, director of the Roderick and Solange MacArthur Justice Center at the University of Mississippi School of Law, says about 85% of those charged with crimes in the state can't afford private lawyers and must rely on public defenders. The problem? Many of those same poor people who can't make bail are forced to rely on a public defender system that appoints them a lawyer at the outset of their case who handles only preliminary matters and then disappears. No other lawyer is appointed until after an indictment is obtained by the district attorney, and in Mississippi that can take months or even years because they don't have a time limit on how long a person can be jailed prior to action by a grand jury. He referred to that lengthy stretch without representation as the dead zone. It's a failure of Mississippi's criminal legal system that has devastating consequences for poor defendants, Johnson said. Mississippi's one of 5 states with no statewide public defender system. Instead, the burden for legal representation falls on local governments, many of which struggle to fund such representation. Johnson said he's amazed how cavalier some Mississippians are when it comes to allowing the government to take people's liberty. They say they don't trust the government, but they sure seem happy to let the government rob other folks of their freedom. Because Lake's case appeared to have been weak, he said, if a public defender had been appointed and worked early on the matter, perhaps prosecutors would have considered a request to dismiss the charge. The law and our criminal rules say that there is a presumption of release prior to trial, and that requiring payment for one's freedom should be the exception rather than the rule, he said. But Mississippi judges demand that people pay for their liberty in 99% of felony cases. Presumption of innocence be damned. The problem caused by the combination of Mississippi's bail practices and spotty public defender system is growing because the jail population continues to grow, he said. The number of Mississippians incarcerated in county jails across the state have increased by more than 500 since the pandemic began. A report by his office shows. Of the more than 5,700 jailed, 2,700 have been there longer than 90 days, more than 1,000 have been incarcerated at least 9 months, and 740 have been stuck in county jails over a year. An MCIR analysis of the database shows that 1 out of every 17 people in a Mississippi jail hasn't been indicted. Most have been jailed for more than 2 months, enough time for people to lose jobs and fall behind on financial commitments while they wait for legal help. Of those, 89 have been jailed more than 6 months and 29 have gone more than a year. One man arrested for murder in Lauderdale County has been jailed for nearly 4 years. He still hasn't been indicted. That extra time behind bars costs Mississippi counties, which spend at least $90 million a year for pretrial incarceration alone. Now, All of this is just your friendly reminder that prisons are wicked, unbiblical, and unjust. Christians should be at the forefront of demanding the dismantling of the prison system. And Christians of all people should know why. Because prisons get used to abuse the innocent. You know, like Christians in the Roman Empire, like Christians in China today, like Christians in Canada today. Sure, very short jail time for violent criminal awaiting their trial and punishment. Sure, right, very short. But mass incarceration is a heinous sin against the living God. It treats human beings made in his image like animals. It prevents true restorative justice from being carried out where restitution is possible and required by God and his law. And it prevents the justice of the death penalty from taking away the blood guilt from off the land. Christians, we got our work cut out for us. A Boston patient has been removed from a heart transplant list after he has refused the COVID-19 vaccine. A 31-year-old father has been removed from the heart transplant list at Boston Hospital because he's refusing to get the COVID-19 vaccine, his family said. DJ Ferguson's family says he was first on the list to receive this transplant at Brigham and Women's Hospital, but he's no longer eligible because of his vaccination status. This is CBS Boston. His father, David Ferguson, said his son, who's fighting for his life in the hospital and is in desperate need of the transplant, doesn't believe in the COVID-19 vaccine.
My son is going to the edge of death to stick to his guns. His heart has now deteriorated so much to the point where it won't work on its own.
It's kind of against his basic principles. He doesn't believe in it. It's a policy they are enforcing, and so because he won't get the shot, they took him off the list of a heart transplant, David told the outlet. Dr. Arthur Kaplan, head of medical ethics at NYU Medical School, had this to say.
The flu could kill you. A cold could kill you. COVID could kill you. The organs are scarce. We're not going to distribute them to someone who has a very poor chance of living when others who are vaccinated have a much better chance post-surgery of surviving.
Yeah, anything can kill you, could kill you. And how are those vaccines working out, Dr. Kaplan? You know, in Israel, you know, where everybody's vaccinated, like tons of times. Did you remember that chart? Yeah, never mind. It's time for Christians to step up their game in the medical industries. Start your own practices, your own surgery centers, your own pharmacies and hospitals, and let's get some states to deregulate the medical industry and let families choose what they believe is best for themselves. Why? Because Jesus is Lord. Because he's Lord of the family and he's Lord of the state. And he gives each of those governments their respective authority. He gives them assignments, and they cannot go beyond what he has given them to do or abdicate the duties he's given them. Speaking of Jesus being Lord, the psalm of the day is Psalm 110. Jehovah to my Lord has said. and amen. Remember, you can find the links to our news stories and these Psalms at crosspolitic.com. Just click on the daily news brief and follow the links, or find them on our app. You've downloaded that, right? You're listening or watching this on the app right now, right? Just search Fight, Laugh, Feast in your favorite app store and never miss a show. This is Toby Sumter with Cross Politic News. A reminder, support Rowdy Christian Media. Share this show like you already did, right? Or become a Fight, Laugh, Feast club member. What allows us to continue growing to take on the big media Live Fest is your monthly membership support. You know those people pointing the cameras in the wrong direction? Yeah, that's what you're helping us to combat. If you've already joined, a huge thanks to you. And if you haven't, please consider joining today, and have a great weekend.